everyone, it's Miss Angela from the Fort Worth Public Library. Welcome back to another Fort Worth Nature Center Discovery Club story time. Today we are talking about mockingbirds. Now mockingbirds are a type of bird that are very important to Texans. I'll wait and let Mr. Michael from the Nature Center tell you why. But right now we're going to sing our song, which is Hush Little Baby, Don't Say a Word. And this is a Mother Goose rhyme. Mother Goose rhymes are nursery rhymes that have been around in the English language for more than 200 years, but they're still good for building early literacy skills. I'm going to sing the song through one verse at a time, and I'll sing each verse twice so that you can sing along with me the second time. I'll use some props to help you learn the words, so let me show you what those are. We have our mockingbird. We have a diamond ring, a looking glass, or a mirror. We have a billy goat. You know what a goat says? Meh. And that's it. Let's get started. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring turns to brass, Papa's gonna buy you a looking glass. And if that diamond ring turns to brass, Papa's gonna buy you a looking glass. And if that looking glass gets broke, Papa's gonna buy you a billy goat. And if that looking glass gets broke, Papa's gonna buy you a billy goat. And if that billy goat runs away, Papa's gonna buy you another today. And if that billy goat runs away, Papa's gonna buy you another today. Great job! Now let's sing it through one more time. This time I'm going to hold up the prop and you say the word, like this. Hush little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a... Did you say mockingbird? Great job! Hush little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a... And if that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's gonna buy you a... And if that diamond ring turns to brass, Papa's gonna buy you a... And if that looking glass gets broke, Papa's gonna buy you a... And if that billy goat runs away, Papa's gonna buy you another today. Great job, everyone! Now, our story for today is from the Mayan people of Mexico and Central America, and it's called How the Mockingbird Became the Best Singer. And you'll see some birds that you might recognize in this story, so keep your eye out. Let's get started. Once upon a time,
there was a young mockingbird who had a beautiful singing voice. She wanted to take singing lessons, but she had no money for them. There was also a young cardinal who had a rich father who wanted her to sing and arranged for her to take singing lessons from the melodious blackbird. But the young cardinal was not interested in singing, so she didn't practice. She was much more interested in flying, and she could fly in beautiful patterns across the sky. One day the mockingbird overheard the cardinal's singing lessons. She hid behind a tree and listened. She came every day to listen to the blackbird's lessons, and she learned how to sing even more beautifully than before. One day the blackbird did not show up, and the cardinal's father came instead. "The blackbird has had to go home," he said, "but I have invited all of the other birds to come and hear you sing tomorrow." "Oh no," said the cardinal. "I haven't been practicing, and I can't sing at all." The mockingbird overheard this and offered to sing for the cardinal. "Oh, thank you," said the cardinal. "I'll ask my friend Woodpecker to make a hole in the tree for you to hide it." The next day the mockingbird came early and hid in the hole that the woodpecker had pecked in the tree. Many birds came for the concert. The young cardinal came out and pretended to sing, but the mockingbird did the real singing from her hiding place in the tree. The other birds all clapped and cheered. The father recognized that it was not his daughter's voice. He said, "Who is really singing?" His daughter said, "The mockingbird was singing for me." The father asked the mockingbird to come out. "This is the true singer," the father said. "This beautiful voice belongs to the mockingbird." The other birds cheered again and asked for more music. The mockingbird sang again. The young cardinal did several flying swoops in appreciation. Ever since, mockingbirds have had beautiful voices.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Now it's time to head over to Mr. Michael at the Nature Center and learn more about mockingbirds. We'll see you next week.
Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Perez with the Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge. I want to welcome you to this week's edition of Discovery Club. I'm glad to be partnering with the Fort Worth Public Library and Miss Angela, and we thank you for your time with the stories and the songs. It definitely adds a lot of value to our program, so thank you so much for working with us, Miss Angela. So now, before we get started, anyone who works with kids understands that you have to be silly sometimes, and you got to do things that are outside of the box just to get their attention. Well, I know Miss Angela, she's done a great job getting your attention, but I want to continue doing that, and I want to do it by singing a song. That's right, yours truly can sing too, not just Miss Angela, but I'm going to sing a song. Now, I know there's someone out there watching. She's going to be going like, I can't believe he sang that in front of everybody. In fact, probably everybody who knows me is going to think the same thing. But this is all for fun, right? So on count of three, I'm going to sing a little song and dedicated, you know who, you're out there, and the rest of our audience as well. So let's be silly and sing. On count of three, a one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. Mockingbird, don't everybody have you heard? She's gonna buy me a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, she's gonna buy me a diamond ring. All right, I did it. Now she's like, oh no, I can't believe he did that. That's for y'all. Just let's be silly for a minute and get ready to talk about mockingbirds. Now, mockingbirds, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about what a mockingbird is. We're going to talk about some behaviors mockingbirds have, why they're called mockingbirds, and all sorts of things. And then I'll show you some images, some pictures, and describe a couple of those behaviors, maybe even play their sound, the vocalization, the sound that they make, so that the next time you're outside in your backyard, you can identify a mockingbird with great ease. But first and foremost, let's talk about what a mockingbird is. Now, it's in its name. It's not a mammal, not a reptile, not a fish, not an amphibian or even an invertebrate. It's a bird. That's right, it's a bird. Thank you very much. Now, this feather here is not from a mockingbird. Okay, this is actually from a red-tailed hawk. Now, before I proceed, I want to let you know, any feather we have, we did not harm or hurt the bird to get it. And number two, we have a permit or a license, like your parents have licenses to drive and your teachers have certificates and licenses to teach. Well, we have licenses to keep live birds on display for educational purpose, like the red-shouldered hawk we have and the eastern screech owl we have, and the feathers that are associated with that bird and other birds. Again, we have permission to do that. It is against the law to have a feather in your possession. It used to be the case where people would hunt birds down to get the feathers and use them to make little pins and use them for riding with. So again, they prohibited that. So now you can't have feathers. So if you see a feather on the ground, number one, leave it there. You can look at it from a distance because it's against the law to have. And number two is probably sanitary. You don't know where that bird's been, right? So anyway, these feathers we know where we received them. So birds, like mockingbirds, are all covered in feathers, and that's what separates them from all the other animals around, is the fact that they have feathers. That's the one characteristic that they have that none of the other animals have. Now, this feather here is very resilient. It's easy to take care of. For example, it gets messed up sometimes. Unlike us, we can mess up our hair up, Here we go. Boy, I am pulling out all the stops today. I'm singing for you. I'm showing you crazy hair. That means y'all mean a lot to me, okay? So I can be silly and look silly, and I don't care because it's for you. So anyway, we get our hair messed up. We just kind of we'll get a comb. We use our hands, and we just comb it back in place, right? Well, birds, they can do the same thing, but they don't have a comb like we do. They have a comb on the end of their beak, and they do something called preening. That's Preening. Can you say that? Preening. Excellent. So what they do is they use that beak, and on each one of these little projections out, they're called barbs. And on each one of these little barbs are little barbules. They're little hooks. And we discussed this when we talked about owls, so this is a refresher for many and most of you. But as the beak goes through these feathers, these barbs, if you will, they just get connected. They zip right back, very similar to Velcro. So the birds are covered in all these feathers, the mockingbird is, and it can comb these, get their feathers back and organized on a daily basis. It would be so much trouble for them to drop the feather and grow a new one. That's a lot of energy that it takes. Just like you, when you wake up in the morning and sticking up, you don't just cut the hair off, right? Your little rooster that's sticking up. No, the rooster feathers are, you can just comb it down, right? Same thing with a feather. They just get it all organized again. Now, their feathers are used for a lot of different things. Number one, flight feathers. They help them to fly because they are very light. Also, the feathers are there to keep them warm and also keep them dry. So feathers serve a great purpose for birds. And the one thing that sticks out when it comes to identifying a bird versus some of the other animals like mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and fish. So they're one of the 5 groups of animals with backbones, vertebrates. Can you say vertebrates? Excellent. So birds are one of the 5 vertebrate groups that I mentioned, other than fish, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles. So that's the first thing. So now let's transition and talk about just the mockingbird in general. Now, mockingbirds are the state bird of Texas. It's also the state bird in other states, I believe, Florida, Arkansas, and some other states as well, I believe. So if you're from Arkansas and Florida, you can test me on that and correct me if I'm wrong. But I think those two as well, among other states. So in 1927, the Texas legislature decided to vote as our state symbol, our state bird, the mockingbird. And a couple of reasons they chose that is because of the song. They enjoyed the song, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You can find mockingbirds all across the state of Texas, winter, summer, all different habitats. But also, we Texans take pride in defending ourselves and protecting our rights and protecting the fact that we are Texan. There's just something about that for those of us who are from Texas and raised in Texas. So mockingbirds have this ability or behavior, whatever you want to call it, of defending that nest. If you, during the summertime, you walk at a public place where they may have a mockingbird nest near the entrance, man, they'll dive bomb you, and they're defending it. And again, part of that convention that of deciding what our state bird's going to be in 1927, the legislature thought the mockingbird, because it's defending, just like us when we defend our freedoms, remember the Alamo and all things like that. So the mockingbird kind of stands for that. So that's why the mockingbird is our state bird. So it is our state bird. Now let's talk a little bit about the name. Now when we think about the name mockingbird, it means something. So as we said earlier, the common name is northern mockingbird, or you can say mockingbird. Most people know what you're talking about. But it also has a scientific name. And again, as we've said before in previous Discovery Clubs, a scientific name is a name that everybody knows it as. No matter where you're located, that is the name of that animal. And for the mockingbird, its scientific name is Mimus polyglottis. Can you say that with me? Mimus polyglottis. So we can break that down and see why the scientists and biologists named it a mockingbird. Well, Mimus means imitator. If you're a little brother or little sister You may try to imitate your older brother, older sister. You see the things they do and you imitate it, and you do it as well. So, imitator. Polyglottis, if you break that word apart, poly means many, and glottis refers to tongue. So, many tongue. So, the mockingbird is called the mockingbird because of the ability to mimic other birds and even sounds. So if you're listening, and we're going to play the sound and vocalization of a northern mockingbird so you can hear it for yourself. But it has the ability to mimic all sorts of birds and other sounds. I think that's what the most fun is when I encounter and hear a mockingbird. For me, it's trying to pick out all the different birds it's trying to mimic, like chickadees, oh gosh, all sorts of birds in your area, killdeer, and things like that. But also, it's been known in certain areas to mimic babies crying, car alarms, all sorts of things. So it has this ability to mimic all sorts of sounds, which can be very advantageous, a big advantage, especially when it's setting up a nest. Maybe it can mimic a hawk, and then other birds are coming in that area and say, whoa, wait a minute, I don't want to go there because there's a hawk around here. And then the mockingbird's going, hee 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 hee. And then it can secure that territory. So the ability to make different sounds is really cool. Now, this time of the year, this is when you're going to hear them making their sounds. In fact, you will hear them calling just about all night. There have been times at home, I'll get up middle of the night, let the dogs go out to the restroom, or I just can't sleep. I get up and I open the door and there they are. Mockingbirds still calling. They'll call all night. So you have plenty of opportunities to hear a mockingbird outside of what I'm about to play for you. And their songs have been known to sing and imitate over 200 different songs. That's a lot, okay? I wouldn't be able to remember 200 songs for that matter. So they can do that. Now, like all birds, they are protected. To some, the vocalization of a mockingbird they enjoy. Others, they get annoyed, especially if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But they are protected under law, so you can't do anything to harm them. So you just have to endure the sounds and be positive and listen to them. As I said earlier, they're very defensive. They will defend their nest. They'll dive bomb you. I've been dive bombed multiple times when I got closer to nest, not knowing there was a nest there. So, keep your mind, keep your eyes open, and be mindful that there could be a mockingbird nest near you. The last thing I want to talk about before I show you some images of mockingbirds and talk about or show you their sound and talk about some of their behavior, I want you to know that they are very important. Just like all birds, they are important. There is a great value and importance for birds. One of the things that makes birds so important is their presence. If you go to an area, a green space, a park, a nature center like us, and you hear birds singing, what does that tell you? Think about it. If you have birds around, that means there's something there that they want. And that's food. That's space. That's water. That's shelter. So all their needs are being met in that park that you venture out to, that your backyard, nature center, green spaces, and so forth. So if the birds are present, that tells you that that place, thinking about the nature center, this is a healthy place because there's food here, there's space here, there's water, there's all the things that they need to survive. So birds are what we call an indicator species. They indicate how healthy and how well our habitats are. If you go to a place over a span of time and you just notice, man, I do not hear birds singing. I don't see any signs of wildlife. I don't see, whether it be sounds or tracks, scat, all sorts of things that you would look or associate with an animal being there. And you do that for a long period of time, like, there are no animals here. Why is that? Well, probably because that habitat doesn't have enough food, space, or all sorts of things, or the needs for that bird. So that's something to take in consideration. So I'm going to stop here and show you some images of some mockingbirds and talk about their vocalization and a really cool behavior that they display that you'll be able to see in your backyard and your local park. So let's take a look at a mockingbird. This is the northern mockingbird. A couple things to look at. A grayish body. On the top is a dark gray, and on the bottom, on his chest and throat, it's a light gray. You'll see on its wings some white markings on its wings. Those are called wing bars. So mockingbirds have white wing bars. The beak is very dark. There's really not much other birds that look like it. It's pretty simple to identify. The other bird that may look like this is called a loggerhead shrike, S-H-R-I-K-E. You can look that up. But it has a dark black eye band. Mockingbirds don't have that. So that's one way to look at them for his color. Here's a juvenile. Still has some gray color, but as a juvenile, it has some black speckles, speckled look to it on its head and its chest. It still has the wing bars, overall size, long tail, good sized beak lengthwise, and a gray body with those wing bars. So this is how you can tell a mockingbird from other birds. I love watching mockingbirds go after their food. They're typically trying to find some insects that are in the grass, and you'll find them walking in the grass, and they'll stop and then very methodically, slowly just raise their wings up, kind of like 1, 2, 3 different motions. And with those black and white wings, it allows, or the insects see it, and it flushes them, and they fly off or walk off and move. And also, those wings upright allows it to shield, so it can see the insect or whatever they're trying to capture from the sun, so it shields it off. So this is a great way to hunt for food. Another way they can get food is through your backyard, having a bird feeder up. So if you put a feeder up with some mixed seed, there's a good chance you'll get a mockingbird that will come to your feeder. So this is another way that they can get food by us providing food for them. Now let's listen to the call of the northern mockingbird and see why scientists and biologists gave it the name Mimus polyglottis, which means an imitator with many tongues, or many sounds, if you will. So you'll hear the bird sing and copy other birds, and they typically copy them up to 5, maybe just a little bit more than 5 times. For example, it may copy bird A 5 times, bird B 5 times, and bird C 5 times. So it'll sound like A, B, 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 C, 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 C. So listen for the multiple times it does copy or mimic other birds. The second call you'll hear is a raspy alert call. Probably one you'll hear if you get close to a nest. So close your eyes and listen to these sounds. So as you can see, it's a very beautiful bird. And again, the song is very interesting because of how it just gets all those sounds from other birds and uses as part of their repertoire, the songs that they sing on a daily basis. And they're hunting, how they go around and, find their food, and some of the behaviors that they do to get their food is very interesting. So hopefully you enjoyed those images. Well, we're going to go ahead and conclude this week's edition of Discovery Club as we talked about mockingbirds. We said that they're birds because they're covered in feathers. And we talked about feathers being important because it allows them to fly. It allows them to stay warm, to stay dry. We talked about how the mockingbird, because of its protection, protecting that instinct to protect itself and its young, its nest, just like we Texans protect our freedoms and so forth, our ancestors became our state symbol as far as birds related. And then we also talked about the scientific name and what it meant and what it means and why scientists named the mockingbird a mockingbird. So, and you got to see me be silly and have silly hair and sing a song really silly. So thank you for that. Hope you enjoyed that as well. Again, thank you, Miss Angela from the library, for your contribution. Until next week, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day and upcoming week. And we'll see you same time, same place for Discovery Club. Bye-bye, guys.